Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Three, an all-queer, narrative-driven D&D podcast where your three GMs are also your three PCs. My name is Dusty, my pronouns are they, she, and I play Ivy Nightbreeze Tinkerfey, whose pronouns are she, her, and I am concerned about everything that just happened.
Hello everyone, my name is Ariana, my pronouns are she, her. I play Alara Spindlespark, whose pronouns are she, her, and Alara's magical secrets finally caught up with her a little bit, and I don't know what to say about it. That was intense.
Hello everyone, my name is Wayra, my pronouns are she, they, and I play Varys, whose pronouns are he, they, and I don't know, sometimes a bitch just gotta die, you know? Not for real, but like in a game.
A note regarding content warnings. This campaign is a dark fantasy that deals consistently with topics of body horror, complicated relationship dynamics, emotional distress, fantasy violence, gore, mechanized spiders, mental health and illness, profanity, and romantic and sexual relationships. A full list of episode-specific content warnings can always be found in the show notes of each episode. Last time, the fight continued with Minnie launching 4 daggers at Alara, leaving her poisoned and clinging to life. In retaliation, Wolf Ivy bit at Minnie's arm, bringing her down and knocking her out. Gringor, seeing the fight turn against him, grabbed Alara in an attempt to use her as a bargaining piece. But in response, Alara finally activated the compulsion gem she found in Grimford, compelling both Nate and Gringor to walk towards Varys, while Wolf Ivy conjured a black wormling dragon, which caused Gringor to halt his own attack. The wormling bit down on Gringor, knocking him out as well. Varys held his action, telling Nate to surrender, and the wizard responded by casting Scorching Ray, knocking Ivy out of her wild shape. Ivy, seeing Alara injured, cast Wither and Bloom on Nate and healed her friend, while Varys knocked Nate out with the blunt end of his scythe. With Alara's watch still spinning wildly in Varys' pocket, the three tried to regroup. Varys rushed to Alara to look after her wounds, and as he took her injured hand in his own, Varys had a flashback, and we learned that he has had a lot of his memories removed or altered, one of which was meeting Alara a few years ago when he wore a different form. Overwhelmed with all of the flashes of memory, Varys stepped away and fell to his knees. Ivy healed Alara, found an antidote, and then tried to snap Varys out of their flashback. Once the three had their bearings, a difficult conversation ensued with Alara pleading with Ivy and Varys not to kill the three assailants, insisting that they deserved a second chance. Ivy and Varys were not so easily swayed, and we pick up now as the unlucky ones decide the fate of 3 people.
Give me a good reason not to kill you. Convince me why I should let you go, and that you'll never speak a word of this to anyone.
Minnie ain't gonna say shit.
I think Gringor wakes up, realizes that he is restrained and his 2 friends are restrained, and he's just like, listen, we took a job. They said it would be good coin. I don't get much of the details. Minnie's in charge of all that. They tell me to hit, I hit. I said it already, this is not worth my life.
Word of advice for you, Gringor. Start thinking for yourself. He looks to Minnie.
Minnie spits at his feet.
He nods.
Ivy's come up to Varys and is standing next to Varys at this point.
I mean, make an insight check on Gringor and then a separate one on Minnie.
Alara is standing next to Varys on the other side.
So 19.
Roll persuasion or deception, Gringor.
9.
Dirty 20.
So, for both Minnie and for Gringor, 2 separate reasons. Does Ivy think that Gringor is being sincere? And what does she pick up from Minnie in her body language?
Is Gringor being sincere?
With a 9 on his persuasion, I think if he's lying, it would be a pretty bad lie. So you feel like he's telling the truth. And see, the problem is Ivy doesn't remember most of the fight.
She remembers the chase, though.
It seems like all he was doing was
following orders and carrying Alara.
Yeah. From Minnie?
For Minnie, she picks up that this bitch ain't going down without a fight.
Okay.
She's not conceding to anything. And I think she looks at Varys, motions to Gringor, and sort of just like nods. Like, I believe him.
He flicks his eyes to Gringor and back to Ivy. Does a little nod and looks over at Nate.
And then she flips off Minnie, by the way.
Nice.
Okay. I want to have Minnie roll a sleight of hand to see if she can get out of the restraints.
Your sleight of hand would be versus our passive perception.
Minnie's sleight of hand is a 24.
Oh, it's super high. That beats everybody's passive, I think. So yeah, I would say she's able to wriggle out.
So she does wriggle out. I think she's gonna wait a second though.
Gonna make a sleight of hand for Nate. You got a 19, which beats everybody's passive. Varys looks at Nate for an answer, and his answer, he takes a second seemingly to ponder. He looks over at Minnie.
Minnie looks back at him.
And like side glances over to those two.
She twitches her nose. Have Gringer make an insight check to see if he picks up on what they're communicating.
He got a 19.
Yeah, he sees Minnie's face. He knows what the motion is.
Oh boy.
What does Gringor do? In this fraction of a second.
I honestly think that he not curls up, but he tries to shield himself from whatever might be coming because he doesn't know if this is like a we're gonna blow everybody up and everyone's going out type thing, or he doesn't want to get caught in like the fray.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Simultaneously happening.
They exchange a look. He sees the twitch of the nose. He flicks his eyes to Varys, and in a fraction of a second, Minnie and Nate react. Nate providing Varys his answer as he casts Hold Person, and Varys fails his wisdom save.
Fuck. Okay.
So you watch as he does this quick movement with his hands behind his back, and this flicker of shimmering pink energy kind of creeps up Varys as he locks in place, kind of crouched in front of them.
Fuck. Minnie attempts to fly over Varys to attack Alara, provoking an opportunity attack from Ivy. So I already rolled if she makes it there. I already rolled. It's going to hit. So I think in that fraction of a second, Ivy reaches out to grab her with a necrotic hand and ends up plucking her from the air and throwing her on the ground, and she's down. It's 10 points of damage.
So she's down.
And the dragon is going to attack Nate. It's going to bite Nate. Does a 15 hit?
It would, but he's going to use burner reaction and cast shield. So its teeth hits this like slightly glimmering wall of arcane energy, and it glances right off. It doesn't hit him.
Okay.
You, Ivy, and Varys, and Nate, and Gringor hear. You know the sound that like static electricity makes?
Yeah.
You all hear that coming from the direction of Alara. And you both, well, you can't look Varys, you can only hear, right? Because you can't move it. Can you move your head?
Can't move at all.
Okay. Ivy, you look over and you see Alara has her glove out, and you've seen the glove before. You've seen her cast Shock and Grasp. You've seen what the spark looks like. You're watching her rub her fingers across her palm, and the spark is getting bigger, and where it used to flash out, it stays, and then another one stays, and you watch as like a ball of electricity starts to form in her hand. And she looks at Nate and she goes, "Let him go right now."
Roll on intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
With advantage.
It's only a 12.
It's going to be the Gorreal Solara.
Does he let him go?
No, he does not. In fact, in response, I think he smirks at you, and he's going to upcast Scorching Ray.
Does he get to go before I get to go?
Okay. At this point, I think we are back into initiative.
We are.
Okay.
So everybody has gone.
I think we should re-roll.
Okay. Ivy got a nat 20.
Damn.
Amazing.
For a total of?
23.
Nice. Nate got 19, and Varys got 24.
Alara got 17 and Gringor got 13.
So it's Ivy, Varys.
It's Varys' turn. You can roll another.
No, don't you go first because you got a natural 20?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you go first because you got a natural 20. I feel like.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think seeing what just happened, seeing that Nate has Varys and that he's not going to let Varys go, and in an attempt to save everybody involved, but also Alara, the guilt from having to kill somebody. She takes a couple steps back, takes the wand out of her boot, raises it up, and fires 3 darts. 2 of them drive straight into Minnie, and 1 of them drives straight into Nate. They all auto hit because that's the nature of magic missile. And Minnie stops breathing, and Nate goes down. And Varys, you are free.
Ivy, as you murder Minnie, for the audience, the minute hand stops ticking on Alara's watch.
A decision has been made.
Varys, what you got?
Varys stands up and reaches down and picks up Nate's limp body
Oh boy.
by the back of his shirt and snaps his neck and lets him drop.
Alara lets out an exasperated cry.
Nate is no longer alive.
For the listeners,
The hour hand stops.
a decision has been made.
And we'll see whether it has any effect, good or bad, on what's to come in the future.
Alara, tears now streaming down her face, looks at the body of Minnie, looks at the body of Nathaniel, looks at Ivy, looks at Varys, looks at Gringor, who is cowering, and she lets the ball of electricity dissipate.
For the audience,
The second hand on the watch comes to an immediate stop,
a decision has been made.
for better or worse. Varys is going to walk up to Gringor.
Alara steps in front of Gringor.
He hands Alara a dagger, since I was just going to cut him loose.
She steps aside.
Ivy still has her wand raised just in case Gringor does some fuck shit.
Yeah. He goes around behind Gringor and cuts his hands loose. He looks at Gringor and he says, pick a different profession
Gringor nods.
and do not ever speak of what you've seen here to anyone.
Shaking his head no, emphatically. I won't. He looks at his friends. Thank you. Thank you.
They nod and they stand up.
He kind of backs away on his hands and feet, not turning his back and not standing up yet. Like he backs away before he stands up.
The wormling moves aside to let him by.
Yeah, Varys just goes back over to Ivy and Alara. Well, to Ivy's side. Not making eye contact with Alara at all.
Ivy's watching Gringor, make sure he's actually leaving.
Gringor is watching the 3 of you as he is also leaving, his plate mail jangling in the distance as he gets further and further away.
They're in the middle of the woods
Mm-hmm.
and they have 2 bodies.
Once Gringor is sufficiently away and we hear his jingling sufficiently in the background,
Mm-hmm.
Ivy picks up Minnie's body and puts it on the back of the dragon, and then attempts to pick up Nate's body. I think I'm gonna actually have to roll for that one.
I can have Varys pick it up if you can.
I think you see her start to go for it.
Yeah, Varys goes over and he picks him up and puts him over his shoulder. Like, respectfully, he's not slugging him around like a sack of potatoes. He very gently puts him on the shoulder.
Yeah, Ivy did the same thing with Minnie. Yeah.
It is not, there is no joy taken in what that just happened. It was business. It had to be done.
Alara, with a 2 on her survival, starts walking in the wrong direction back towards the inn.
Alara, where are you going?
Back to the inn. I don't want to stay here.
You're going the wrong way.
Oh, she turns around.
I would, prefer it if you stayed either here or with us, instead of walking in the dark, alone in the woods.
I have dark vision.
Alone in the woods.
She takes Pearl and Norman out of her pocket.
Ivy gives you a look.
She keeps walking.
I think she sighs and looks at Varys.
I think he's just looking up at the sky in irritation. Not in irritation. It's just like looking at the sky for a moment to like summon some semblance of balance and calm back. He looks at Ivy. Thank you
For what?
for getting me out of whatever was stuck in and for defending me.
She nods.
I appreciate it.
You would do the same for me?
He gives a little half smile and he nods. And he did say thank you intentionally. After a moment, he looks towards Alara as she's like walking away, and then he turns to Ivy. I think you should follow her. I'm going to bury them and break down the camp, make it look like no one was here.
Ivy looks between the both of them. Will you be all right?
Yeah, in truth, I honestly feel like I need a moment to clear my head.
She nods. I'll leave you the dragon. He'll dissipate, in a little while, but while he's here, he can help. And she starts walking after Alara, but stops and goes, And Varys?
Yes, Ivy.
Don't be too long.
I think he smiles a bit and nods and sets about to his task.
So Ivy's going to walk towards Alara, like softly talking to Bia, so as not to scare her as she approaches.
Yeah, she hasn't gotten far. She's wounded and she's dazed, and I honestly think she's in shock, but I don't think she says anything when you get close.
Alara, as soon as she's gone, everything that they have on them is being taken. I'm going to loot the bodies.
Roll investigation.
For investigation, 23.
You find, Gringor's gone, so you find 1 potion of healing. You find a pouch on Minnie containing 90 gold, 11 silver. Ivy already has those 2 vials of poison and 3 empty vials, and now Alara has the empty vial of anti-venom. You find a sending stone on Minnie.
A sending stone?
Mm-hmm. And you find a component pouch on, Nate, 30 and 31 gold and 3 silver. You also have Minnie's bracers.
Yep. And Varys is taking Nate's spellbook.
Okay.
Nate also has ink, parchment, a pen, rations, which I'm sure they'll take.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a component pouch as well. Then yeah, I think that's it.
Minnie has a disguise kit, a forgery kit, a poisoner's kit, thieves' tools, and a 3 dragon ante set.
Take it.
Yep, Varys is gonna mark, I think under trees maybe, and Varys is gonna carve into the trees their names in handwriting that looks nothing like his.
So I think you bury the bodies, and you're currently left alone in what was the kidnappers' encampment.
I think he listens for their footsteps to fade before he begins taking apart the tents and burning them. He's gonna go through the encampment entirely, taking anything that might be of use and burning the rest. He's also gonna brush around the dirt to make it look like there was no fight here, scatter the ashes of the campfire, in which he eventually just smothers entirely. He's essentially trying to erase any evidence of what transpired here and just make it look like a rest stop.
Give me a survival check.
That is a 22.
Yeah, you do it, and you do it well. By the time you're done, it's just like a normal clearing.
Perfect. I think he buries the bodies, and when he's done, he just kind of stands there in silence, trying to compose himself. He had thought that keeping himself busy and giving himself a task to focus on would help ease his anger and confusion somehow, but I don't know, it seems to only build. His head is killing him, and though he did thankfully receive some healing after the fight, his body is still screaming at him. So I think he's going to pop a potion and try to fix up the lingering damage as best he can.
If you're taking it as an action, then you get the full benefits.
Okay. That'll bring him back up to almost full, which is perfect. I think that he mulls over what happened for a moment as he takes the potion. He realizes that seeing Alara's hand hurt like that is what brought all these snippets of memories back. Most of them are of him and her meeting at different times and places throughout Thylas Air, but not all. There's other memories that surface too, and they're far less pleasant and much more difficult to make sense of. These memories were disjointed, clipped. It's it's as though someone sent several movies in different sized clips, out of order or missing, and he was somehow meant to piece them back together. Nothing is making sense to him right now. And he's wondering, was his mind really this shattered? He knew he was missing pieces, but this is a lot more than he thought. It makes him kind of wonder, how long have people been fucking with his memory? Who had been fucking with it? There is one memory that kind of falls seamlessly into place. He pieced it back together and it settles in and it feels right. But the impact of it, the weight of it, I guess, it kind of leaves him reeling. It's a memory of seeing Alara way before they met in Grimford. She was crying and she told him someone had seen them the night they met, that Aiden's father, Philippe, had used magic on her. Magic that took away control of her own faculties. He remembers paying Avery and Philippe Abraxas a visit. The warning he gave them that day was a fucking bloody one. And I think he smirks. He's pretty sure it's still in a jar somewhere, back in his office. But the kind of sick satisfaction doesn't do anything to alleviate his anger. And I think that he's almost shaking with the emotion. The person he used to be was not someone who would have given them a second chance. They were a liability. But he did, and he did because she had asked him to give them a chance. He doesn't understand why the fuck he listened to her. Who was she to him that she could change his convictions so easily? I think that he remembers the last encounter with the Abraxas family and what he warned them not to do. And they didn't fucking listen. He knows, with the completion of the earring, that he can't be tracked. He knows that he's not close enough to a nexus point, not close enough to cause any arcane surge like the one in Grimford. He knows the chances of someone finding his magical signature here in the middle of the woods is very slim, even though the spell of the magnitude he wants to use will make his magic signature linger for about a week. But it would be worth the risk. They can't continue to go unchecked. So, he reaches into his pack and he takes out a spell scroll. One of the few things that he has saved from his previous life, and unfurls it. With practiced ease, he recites the words written on this piece of parchment, and in a flash, Varys disappears from the clearing, leaving nothing but vermilion smoke with little flecks of yellow in his wake.
So Varys, you utilize this scroll, and so just as you intended, you are suddenly in the washroom of this sprawling estate that you've been to before.
I think he locks the door before someone can come in, and he stands in front of the mirror, turns on the sink, and cups some water in his hands. He washes his face and then puts both hands on either side of the sink and kind of looks up to face himself in the mirror. But it's not Varys that is reflected there. It's a young half-elven man with a dark complexion whose handsome features are marred with several scars, both new and old, whose eyes are so silver gray they look like the moon, and almost slightly glowing. This is the same face that was on the wanted posters. He's looking at the face of Carowyn Hamel. All right, let's get this over with. And he unlocks the door, heading right over to the first target, to the office of Philippe Abraxas. He gives a firm rap on the door, and then enters without waiting for a response, knowing that he won't get one. Then he closes it, and as he does, he locks it.
I think as you were coming into this room, this fairly giant-sized office/workshop area, Philippe's back was originally to you, and then he hears the lock click, and he turns around, and he's got a sparking apparatus in his hand as he was working on one of his mechanical fingertips. And you know this, but the audience will see that both of his hands are mechanical. There is no organic element to both of his hands. And the audience watches as this high elf with pale skin and dark eyes turns around and spots Carowyn Hamel. And his eyes widen, and he immediately goes 4 shades whiter. And I think his immediate reaction is to just fling this apparatus in fear at Carowyn and scramble back. And I'm going to make him roll a dexterity saving throw to see if he lands on his ass. He fumbles a bit as he trips over a little bit of his chair, but he rights himself and immediately gets to the far back of the room, as far away as he can get.
I think He has this sort of amused smirk at this man's reaction. He reaches into his pocket and he takes out a pair of black gloves. And he pulls them onto these scarred and calloused hands as he walks deeper into the room. One hand, his right one, the audience will watch as he pulls the glove on over it. It has a scar on both sides of it, from where he was stabbed through years ago. The scar he now remembers was healed by Alara, the one that mirrors Alara's new one. "What's wrong, Philippe? You seem surprised to see me."
I think, shaking, Philippe signs, "You're supposed to be dead."
I think he smiles a bit. "No, I'm not dead, but you will be, shortly."
I think he starts making these guttural animalistic noises. And as he does, we see that he has no tongue. And he just starts chucking items at you. They're flinging wildly. You can tell that while maybe he programmed his hands to learn CSL, he didn't program them for much else that might be beneficial to him, such as accuracy when throwing.
I think he continues moving towards him at an even pace, as if he's out for a leisurely stroll and not about to kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
He slightly tilts his head or steps aside when needed to avoid objects being tossed at him, but doesn't seem like it takes much effort. "Come now, Philippe. What did you expect to happen? When you and yours deliberately set out to do exactly what I warned you not to. Not once," and he gestures to Philippe's mouth, where his tongue is missing. "Not twice," and he gestures to the robotic hands where once was flesh, "but a third time." And he shoves the wooden desk aside and walks up to Philippe, now within arm's length of him. "You know, I'm not an unreasonable person, despite what people say. I give people a chance. But I am not a believer in second chances, let alone third. I assume you can imagine why. Every time I have, is proven to be a mistake. Tell me, did you thank a god for your second and third chances? Or did you know Alara is the only reason you were granted mercy? And look how you've wasted the extra few years of your worthless life. But it's over now." He grabs Philippe by the collar of his shirt and lifts him up against the wall with one hand, as the other reaches for a blade on his hip. "Now, stop that senseless squawking. It's hardly befitting someone of your station. Face your death with some dignity." And as he says that, he lifts the blade up to Philippe's throat and slits it.
Carowin slits Philippe's throat, and the noises that Philippe was making die down as Philippe loses consciousness and then dies.
I think when he knows the man is dead, he drops the body to the ground and wipes the blade on Philippe's shirt, crouching down to do so. And as he stands, he looks down on him for a moment, and he says, "You know, I could have made this much more painful for you." And then he looks to the side to catch himself reflected in the glass of a cupboard, and he sees the part of himself that he hates the most. Cold eyes looking back at him, a cruel smile, and his clothes covered in blood once again. He looks so much like his fucking father. And he sighs and turns to walk out of the room. He can't stop to consider what this means for himself, running away from his fate, as he had been, only to fall right back into old habits the moment he got pissed off. And he kind of wonders what it says about him, that he can so easily jump to murder as a conclusion. I think that he thinks to himself that they were right. And then he shakes the thought away. There's no time for regrets now. He's here, and he has no patience for mercy. He sheaths his blade as he heads towards where he assumes his next target will be, the lady of the house, Avery Abraxas.
Okay, so you walk down a long hallway of this gothic manor, and it's quiet. And the hall is empty. There's a lush carpet at your feet, and it's muffling your footsteps as you walk. And there's nothing but candles lining the walls. You rely on your dark vision, you can see easily enough. At the end of the hall, you find a set of spiral stairs leading up.
I go up.
So you traverse the stairs. You're left in another dark hallway where at the end you see a door, and it's closed, but it's the only door down this long hallway. Do you approach it?
Yeah.
So as you get close, you can hear some noises coming from inside. At one point, I think you hear like a feminine voice mumbling to herself, and then some things kind of clanking around. As you get closer, you begin to smell this very earthy smell.
Yeah, I think he heads to the door. Is it locked?
No. Do you turn the handle?
I think very discreetly, yeah. He opens it and just kind of like quietly walks in.
So I think as you walk in, you get hit with that earthy smell that you kind of started to smell as you got closer. And there is like a rapid change in humidity. It's almost sticky in here. The room is very large. I'm going to say there's like 15-foot floor-to-ceiling windows that look out onto a really pretty night sky, looking down at the city below. The room is filled with dozens and dozens of different kinds of plant life. You see some that you recognize and many that you've just never even seen before. About 50 feet ahead of you, with her back to you, wearing a white lab coat, you see a woman with dark hair pulled up into a bun. She's about 5'8", and standing in front of a long table looking down on something. And there's foliage kind of like sprouting out around her, but you can't see most of the plant because she's blocking the view. As she hears the door make the slightest creaking sound as it opens, you hear her like audibly sigh, and she puts down something out of view. You hear like metal kind of clink on glass. And without even turning around, she goes, "Philippe, unless you have come to tell me that you have word from Minerva, or better yet, our dearest Aiden, I do suggest you get the fuck out of my lab."
He locks the door.
And she picks up her tool and goes back to what she was working on without even glancing back. She's unconcerned.
You know, I don't think Philippe is going to have any words for you anytime soon. Unless, of course, you can cast Speak with Jed.
You watch her body like she tenses. You can tell from even behind, because she recognizes your voice. And very slowly, she turns around and you see that she's actually holding like a metal scalpel. Avery Abraxas, a high elven person with like warm dark eyes and hair kind of streaked with gray a little bit, looks at you. Are you still all like covered in blood?
Oh, yeah.
Make an insight check.
15?
You can tell that she's scared. Her eyes dart around like wildly for a moment, and she's gripping the scalpel like white-knuckled. But she's trying her best to contain her fear, and after a moment, I think she does get a little bit of a handle on it, and she looks at you, and the blood covering you, and she takes a deep breath and tries to steady it, and I think she goes, "I suppose you've come to kill me as well, then."
How very astute of you.
"You're supposed to be missing." And she thinks she says it almost to herself. You can see that she's like running through calculations in her head, but she never takes her eyes off of you.
To the general public, I am. I've been away on business.
I think you can see her trying to like steady herself, and she kind of like swallows hard and adopts this like easier, like almost like she's trying to be nonchalant. She's trying very hard to hide her fear, I think. And she says, "You should know I wasn't going to hurt her. I only wanted to talk."
You have a very interesting way of inviting conversation. You know, I thought you would have been happy when I took Philippe's hands, seeing how you despise all things arcane. And yet, I am told you were very particular about her hands. I don't think that's a coincidence, is it? So, tell me, Avery, did you know there are 54 bones in your hands? 27 in each. Why don't I break them? One by one. Before I kill you. Doesn't that sound fun?
She takes a step back But she bumps into the desk because she's right up. She's right there. If you will let me speak, I do believe there is a chance that we can make a deal here.
Attempting to bargain your way out of your consequences? Why am I not surprised? If that's how you wish to waste your last words, then by all means. And he kind of gives like a way for her to continue. But he looks really fucking bored. Like this is an inconvenience for him.
She kind of like leans her head in like closer towards him, not taking any step closer. There's still a bit of distance. You are very sure that I will die here tonight?
I don't think he doesn't answer. He just kind of looks at her expectantly, waiting for her to try to talk her way out of this.
You've brought yourself back to Ixalan. You've murdered my husband, I assume. Which, she shrugs, but I am not so foolish as Philippe, nor am I as weak. Let me live. I will cover up his death as an accident.
He seems vaguely amused. I think it's clear that he doesn't really care if Philippe's death is connected to him.
What is it that you want? I know you've been hunting for artifacts. I have standing in the guilds. Let me help locate them.
You think I need anything from you?
Gold? Riches, name it. God damn it, what do you want?
He sighs, I think. Why is it that everyone thinks I can be so easily bought? Your death, Avery. That is what I want.
She narrows her eyes, and I think that you see anger and even like defiance on her face, and she takes a step closer. What is it about her that makes you all act so foolishly? That you would turn me down because I hurt your lover's feelings a handful of years ago?
I don't think he doesn't move away, and he doesn't flinch when she steps closer. Your last breaths, you wish to speak of her? What happened to bargaining, Avery?
You already said there's no bargaining with you. And she kind of smirks. She like clasps her hands together like under her chin. Because you pined for her, and she still went back to my child when you weren't around. I should have never meddled. Perhaps if I would have left her to you, she would have gotten herself killed and Aiden would be free of her grasp.
I think that Avery will see like a tick in his jaw. That's the only tell that she pissed him off.
I think she smirks.
I think he looks around. How far away from her is he?
Okay, make a perception check.
16.
Kerwin,
Mm-hmm.
out of the corner of your eye, on your left side, you see on the ground this thick, viney tendril snaking its way towards you behind a row of plants. And when Avery sees you look over at it, like when your eyes kind of connect with it, she whispers something almost in like a hiss underneath her breath. And do you look back up at her?
Mm-hmm.
So you watch from behind her, this plant that was obscured before grows up and towers at least like 8 feet above her. And out of its sides shoot these 8 tendrils, 4 on each side. And they all essentially launch themselves towards you.
And I think he smiles and he looks almost delighted that she's attacking him first. He lifts his right hand and kind of clenches it into a fist. And when he opens it, this mote of bright red and vermilion flame forms in his hand and then condenses to a point at the tip of his pointer finger as he like gestures in the direction of her and the plants. And it flies off. For a few seconds, as the plants are getting closer to him, it's quiet as it impacts, and then it detonates with a deafening sound and rocks the room as he upcasts the spell Fireball.
Nice.
To a 5th level spell.
So I think that as the fire impacts in like a flash of flame and smoke clashing down as these tendrils try to like wrap themselves protectively around Avery, we're going to fade away from the Abraxas estate, and we're going to check back in on Alara and Ivy.
So we fade out of the Abraxas household and come back to Ivy and Alara, who are currently walking back up to their room, having walked through the forest for a couple hours on their way back to Rayu's. I think it was relatively quiet, save for Ivy talking to Bia.
I think Alara goes to her room. I think she's exhausted and is not really having coherent thoughts probably right now. So I think she just goes up to her door and opens it.
I think Ivy goes with her to her door at least and kind of like waits in the door frame to see what Alara's going to do. If she's going to close the door in her face, if she's going to leave the door open. I think she's wanting Alara to set the tone for what Alara wants.
I think that she walks into the room. She looks at the open window and she looks around at what probably is a little bit of like a mess and signs of a struggle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think she just stares in silence.
I think Ivy stays in the doorway for a minute. Do you want to be alone? Do you want some company?
She like shakes her head and turns. I think I'll be okay. Are you okay? Do you want company or?
I want to roll an insight check on Alara, I think, to see if Alara is like doing that thing where like humans project that's what they want, but they're asking if the other person actually wants it. It's 23.
So I don't even know if I'm gonna roll because I don't think that she's trying to deceive. I think that what you pick up with a 23 is that she seems a little bit dazed and like lost in her head. Anytime, like while you guys were while they were walking and while getting back to the inn, anytime there's like a noise or something foreign, she kind of will startle and then like her eyes will like dart around quickly as if she's looking for like a source of, of danger.
Yeah. I think she takes a step inside the room. Do you want to maybe stay in my room for the night?
She looks back at the window. I think that maybe it might be better if we stay together, just in case. I don't know.
I agree with that.
I think she'll grab if there was anything around the room that had been left, because she was kind of settling down when all of this happened, and put it into her pockets. I think she'll close and lock the window too. And then she looks at you and kind of nods.
Ivy turns and starts heading to her bedroom.
Alara will follow.
I think she opens the door and like motions to a spot where Alara can put her stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think she settles into a chair. I don't really need the bed, so if you want to fight Bia for real estate on the bed.
Thank you. I don't know if I'll actually be able to sleep, to be honest with you. I don't feel very tired, but I also feel very, very, very tired. She opens her pocket and lets Pearl out. I think Alara will sit on the floor and Pearl will kind of sit in front of her and she'll just be petting her. And I think she takes out her salve from her pocket and she looks at you, Ivy. Did you get hurt? Everything was so, confusing and fast and slow at the same time.
No, I don't think I did. I think maybe, my wild shape did.
Do you remember?
She shakes her head. I do remember feeling. I don't remember, like actual memories, if that makes sense. I remember feeling this sort of, I think she looks down at her hands. She goes, this sort of carnal desperation to keep you safe.
Well, thank you. I wouldn't have been able to get away. It all just feels really awful.
She nods. But at least we're safe and back in a bed.
I didn't think that anything like this would ever happen to me, or that it happens to people. It feels so surreal.
I knew it happened. I just didn't think that it would happen to anybody I cared about.
She nods. You killed someone because of me, and I'm sorry that you had to do that.
I think she nods again. I don't really think she knows what to say right now. I think what she wants to say wouldn't be comforting to Alara right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she just nods and sighs and goes, "Well, it's over now, and I don't know if we'll all be getting our own rooms anymore in the future."
Well, I mean, hopefully that never happens again, right?
She nods.
I don't know if it was a good idea to leave Varys out there. They were wounded.
I think if any of the three of us can take care of themselves, it's Varys.
Yeah.
They'll be back shortly, I believe. They were probably right behind us, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess we will take watch. Keep an eye.
I'll take the first watch. I think wait for Varys.
I'm not gonna go to sleep right now. I have I have a lot of things to kind of that I should really sort through. And she starts taking things out of her pockets. They wanted my jacket, and well, I have so many things in here, And she starts taking things out of her pockets. Vials and scrolls and notebooks, gems and rocks, and all of her tools and the pots and the pans. Very quickly, she has kind of started to amass a pile of things around her. And she is kind of like mumbling almost to herself as she starts to take things out of her pockets. And she definitely looks a little bit like she's in her own world, in her own space.
Mm-hmm. I think Ivy is just sort of watching right now, watching her take stuff out. Because she doesn't carry any of her own shit anymore. So there's like a bag labeled Ivy that Alara pulls out of her pockets.
I think that she does. I think she has like, you see after like a minute or so, it looks like she's starting to make little piles that to you at a glance, I don't think probably makes any sense. But then you see a pile of your stuff start to amass and you're like, okay, that's my pile.
See a collection of knives. It's like, okay, that's Varys's pile.
That's Varys's. There's just knives. And you see like she'll take out like a jar and it's empty, but it's got like a film on the bottom, and she'll like uncork it. She'll take like a sniff of it and make like a weird face and just like toss it over her shoulder. She's kind of going through this process.
Bia starts playing with that vial.
I love it. Pearl kind of is like at the foot of the bed, I think, has like given her some space, and just kind of like anytime there's like a noise, Pearl will kind of pick her head up and look and then right back down,
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for listening. We're incredibly grateful for the love and support.
And P.S., if you want more content, check out our Patreon for free clips, bonus scenes, and if you join the Red Rogues, you'll get access to the Rainbow Dice Club chat and after show where we talk about past episodes.
If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review and tell your friends about us.
Special thanks to our Green Fiend Patreon supporters, Jen Bear and Michael.
And with that, our story pause is here for today. Join us next time as we continue our adventures, and remember, it's never too late to start your own.
Bye! Hello, everyone. My name is Wayra. I play Varys, whose pronouns are he, they. I skip my own pronouns.
Do not perceive Wayra today.
Not today.
No, Wayra
is not here.
Ninny ain't gonna say shit.
Say it again without crinkling an entire bag.
Here's my Foley work.
It could be for
Varys
something.
Goes through the underbrush.
That's amazing. That's exactly what it is.
She is like trying very hard to stay in one spot right now.
I was like, wither and blue.
No, it's not that anymore. We're not. This is my dragon is backing up. I'm casting Moonbeam on all three of you.
Oh,
And
yeah,
the
spell
dragon is
slots.
going to rip your guts out.
Wow.
You know what would be wild?
What?
If Varys is giving them this chance, and as he turns to Nate, Minnie like launches and stabs him in the neck.
And then Ivy just cold blood murders Minnie.
That's what would happen. Let me
Yeah.
make a sleight of hand. Let me see if she can get out of. What is the DC?
It seems like all he was doing was follow, carrying orders.
Mhm.
All he was doing was carrying Alara.
Following orders and carrying Alara.
Yeah.
Carrying orders and following Alara. Wait, what?
From Minnie? Who's Minnie gonna go for?
Alara.
Alarm?
You rat bastard.
He casts whole person on Varys.
And Minnie goes after Alara.
Okay, well, let's narrate that better. Hold on.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Never.
What? That was
He
so maniacal.
So, Nate,
Alara. Minnie. Gringor. Wormling.
Wormling is like, girl, I thought I was just guarding.
Pulls the boot out of her wand and fires 3 shots out.
the wand out
Two
of
of-
her boot.
Did I say boot out of her wand?
Yeah.
Takes the wand out of her
Good
boot.
catch. I didn't catch it. I was like absorbed. I'm like
Takes-
in my head. I'm visualizing this like.
No, this is. It's on the rope.
It's the dark urge.
He fantasizes for a moment. No.
Varys, you are staring at the hands.
No. I'm gonna loot the bodies.
I fucking
Oh, as soon
knew
as
it.
Alara's out of sight.
Oh,
Fucking. Okay.
and there's a little bag of sand. I don't know what that's about.
I didn't give him a little bag of sand.
He's got a little bag of sand.
Aw.
Probably
Alara could
components.
Probably use that for something.
Yeah, I'll take
She
the little
likes
bag of
sand.
sand for Laura.
That's
I also
Varys
feel-
pulling up in his Jaguar.
I realized I didn't close this curtain, which I don't know if it actually makes a difference for echo, but I guess we'll find out when I edit this scene and the last scene.
Lucy sleeping in the back is so precious.
Yeah. Oh, look at her face.
Yeah. She's like,
knocking out.
what?
I gave her a bath yesterday, and as soon as I put the water on her, she vomited. Like her reaction. Like I started spraying her, and she just went, bleh, and I was like, okay, this is how we're starting this right now.
Poor thing.
She was okay though. It was very. She's yeah.
Drama queen.
Yeah. Okay, so she did. She literally, it was like she just went, bleh, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I just hosed it away. It was fine.
Yeah.
Okay, she says she's say it again. She's gonna take first watch right now.
Is that it? Did we do
I
it?
think so. What do you think?
Holy hells. How was it? Was it good?
I think so. I hope so.